10 silent warnings every man over 50 must never ignore. What if I told you that the very first warning sign of a deadly disease isn't chest pain or a cough, but something most men would never dare talk about? For thousands of men, the earliest clue that the heart is failing or that cancer is quietly spreading appears not in the chest, not in the lungs, but right between their legs. Strange pains, subtle changes, tiny signals that are easy to ignore until it's too late. This is not about embarrassment. This is about survival. Ignoring these silent warnings can cost you your health, your relationships, even your life. And here's the truth. If you're over 50 or love someone who is, these signs matter more than ever. So stay with me, because today I'll reveal 10 silent warnings your body gives through your most private organ, and why each one could be the difference between catching disease early or facing devastating consequences. Don't click away. This might be the most important health lesson you'll hear this year. If you care about living stronger, longer, and giving your loved ones peace of mind, subscribe now, hit the bell, and let's begin. One of the most ignored warnings a man's body can give is trouble with erections. It's easy to laugh it off, blame stress, or quietly accept it as part of aging. But that silence can be deadly. The truth is, the blood vessels in the penis are smaller than those in the heart. When plaque begins to build or circulation weakens, the very first place it shows is often in a man's ability to perform. Doctors describe erectile difficulties as the canary in the coal mine for heart disease. Research shows that men with persistent erection problems are significantly more likely to face a heart attack within a few years. That's not coincidence. It's the body sounding an alarm long before chest pain or shortness of breath ever appear. Think of it this way. Ignoring erectile issues is like ignoring the smoke detector because you don't see flames yet. The signal is there, quietly but urgently calling for attention, and behind the embarrassment is a chance, an opportunity to act before it's too late. Picture a man in his 50s, avoiding intimacy out of shame. He doesn't know his heart is quietly struggling. If he speaks to his doctor, he not only reclaims confidence but also protects his future with his family. That's the hidden power of listening to the body. It may save your life. But erection troubles aren't the only silent signals. Sometimes the warnings appear on the surface. Small pains, sores, or changes that men often dismiss, but which can carry consequences even more severe. Pain, bleeding, or unusual changes in such a private area are easy to dismiss, yet they are among the most important signals your body can send. Too many men stay silent, hoping discomfort will pass, embarrassed to speak with a doctor. But postponing care can turn a treatable issue into a life-changing crisis. A small ulcer may look harmless, but it could signal an infection, a kidney stone, or in rare cases, cancer. Blood in the urine, painful urination, or sores that refuse to heal should never be ignored. These are not inconveniences. They are warning lights on the dashboard of your health. Doctors know that early intervention saves lives. Sexually transmitted infections treated quickly can vanish with minimal impact. A urinary infection caught in time is resolved before it spreads. Even certain cancers, though frightening, can be managed with far less invasive treatment when discovered early. Yet men often delay, driven by fear of judgment or shame. They imagine the discomfort of a checkup is worse than the risk of disease, when in reality the opposite is true. Ignoring symptoms carries a terrible cost. Some men have lost not only function, but part of their identity because they waited too long. The truth is, physicians are not there to judge. They are there to preserve dignity, safety, and life itself. Taking action at the first sign of trouble isn't weakness, it is strength. The man who listens to his body and seeks help early is the one who protects his future. But not all risks come from what the body signals. Some arise from what men do to themselves, reckless experiments and dangerous quick fixes that promise miracles, but often leave behind permanent damage. When men feel insecure about their bodies, the internet floods them with false promises. Pills that claim to enlarge overnight, oils that promise endless stamina, or stretching techniques said to be ancient secrets. These so-called cures rarely help and often do permanent harm. One of the most notorious is gelking, a forceful stretching method that causes tiny tears inside delicate tissue. Over time, those micro-injuries turn into scars, painful curvature, and even loss of function. The dream of quick improvement becomes the reality of lasting damage. Some men push risk further by creating makeshift devices. Plastic bottle rings, metal nuts, or tight cords are used as constriction bands. Once swelling sets in, these objects trap blood, causing unbearable pain and sometimes requiring emergency removal with surgical saws. Others experiment with harsh household substances, vinegar, toothpaste, or concentrated oils, hoping to stimulate growth, but ending up with chemical burns, infections, and lasting sensitivity loss. Unregulated supplements can be equally dangerous, often hiding steroids or stimulants that strain the heart and liver. The harsh truth is this: there are no safe shortcuts. Quick fixes only exploit fear and hope, while real health solutions come from trained doctors who understand the body and can provide proven treatments. Protecting manhood is not about reckless experiments. It is about courage, patience, and the wisdom to seek help from those who can truly heal. But even without reckless experiments, danger still lurks. Sometimes it comes from something as ordinary as neglecting cleanliness, allowing infections and irritation to grow silently until they threaten long-term health. Cleanliness may seem obvious, yet it is one of the most overlooked aspects of men's health. For those with foreskin, failing to gently pull it back and wash beneath can allow bacteria and yeast to thrive. The result may begin with redness, itching, or swelling, but if ignored, can progress into painful infections or even serious conditions like balanitis. In rare but dangerous cases, undetected sores beneath the foreskin may hide early signs of cancer, missed simply because the area was never examined. Even men without foreskin are not exempt. Overwashing with harsh soaps or scrubbing aggressively strips away protective oils and irritates sensitive skin, leaving it dry, cracked, and more vulnerable to infection. Using heavily scented cleansers or neglecting to dry thoroughly after bathing only worsens the risk. Hygiene should be about balance, gentle, consistent care that prevents buildup while preserving natural protection. The consequences of neglect are more than discomfort. Infections can spread, leading to scarring or urinary issues. Small irritations left unchecked can rob a man of intimacy, confidence, and peace of mind. Proper hygiene, however, restores control. Gentle daily cleaning, regular self-checks, and attention to changes protect not only physical health, but also the sense of dignity every man deserves. Prevention here is simple, but its impact is profound. It is the quiet shield against problems that grow louder with time. But infections are not the only silent threat. Sometimes the real danger lies in ignoring sharp warnings like pain, blood, or swelling, signals that the body is pleading for attention before it is too late. Pain, swelling, or bleeding in such a private part of the body often feels embarrassing to discuss. Many men stay silent, convincing themselves the problem will fade. But the body rarely sends these signals without reason. A burning sensation may point to infection. Blood in the urine could mean kidney stones, bladder problems, or in rare cases, cancer. Ulcers or sores that refuse to heal are never just skin issues. They are red flags demanding urgent attention. Doctors stress that early detection changes everything. A urinary infection treated quickly resolves with minimal harm. A small stone identified early can be managed before it blocks the kidneys. Even cancers caught in their first stages often require less invasive treatment, preserving both health and quality of life. Yet too many delay care, fearing judgment or feeling ashamed. In truth, physicians are not there to condemn. They are trained to protect, to heal, and to preserve dignity. The greatest danger lies in waiting too long. Ignored symptoms can escalate into irreversible damage, robbing men of function, independence, or even survival. Courage is not pretending everything is fine. Courage is facing the truth early enough to change the outcome. Listening to the body, seeking help without shame, and refusing to ignore warning signs is the path that safeguards both health and manhood. But danger does not always arrive as sudden pain. Sometimes it hides in choices men make during intimacy, moments where control is lost and accidents turn into emergencies. Moments of passion are meant to be exciting, but when control is lost, they can quickly turn into emergencies. One of the most frightening examples is a penile fracture. It often happens during vigorous intimacy when an erect penis bends sharply against bone or tissue. The sound is unforgettable, a sudden pop, followed by searing pain and rapid swelling. Left untreated, half of men will face permanent erectile dysfunction. Doctors call it a surgical emergency, one that demands immediate attention to preserve future health and intimacy. Another overlooked risk is the absence of protection. Unsafe sex does not just risk infections. It also carries fear, anxiety, and potential unplanned consequences that erode trust between partners. True confidence in the bedroom is not about reckless abandon, but about safety, communication, and awareness. Lubrication, too, is essential. Without it, tissue tears more easily, pain increases, and the chance of accidents grows. Far from being unromantic, lube is a safeguard that enhances comfort and enjoyment for both partners. Control, then, is not about limiting pleasure. It is about protecting it. By staying mindful, using protection, and ensuring comfort, men create the conditions for intimacy that is safe, sustainable, and deeply fulfilling. Recklessness steals joy, but responsibility allows it to flourish. Still, intimacy is not the only factor affecting health. Even outside the bedroom, silent risks continue to threaten manhood. Risks that come from something as simple as too much heat. The male body was designed with precision, And nowhere is this clearer than in the role of temperature. Unlike the ovaries, testicles hang outside the body because sperm production requires cooler conditions. But many modern habits quietly disrupt this balance. Hours spent in hot tubs, saunas, or steam rooms expose delicate tissue to excessive heat. Over time, sperm counts decline, fertility suffers, and testosterone production can weaken. Technology adds to the risk. Resting laptops directly on the lap or carrying smartphones in front pockets may seem harmless, but these devices emit both heat and radiation. Prolonged exposure gradually warms the groin, affecting not only fertility but also hormonal balance. Even tight synthetic clothing traps warmth, creating an environment where performance quietly deteriorates. The consequences rarely appear overnight. Instead, they build slowly, leaving men confused when energy declines, when fertility tests show problems, or when vitality feels dulled. Yet the solution is often simple. Avoid prolonged wet heat, limit time in hot tubs, keep electronics away from the groin, and choose breathable fabrics. Small adjustments made consistently restore the environment nature intended. Manhood thrives in balance. Respecting temperature is not a trivial detail. It is a safeguard for strength, endurance, and future generations. Protecting this balance today means preserving vitality for the years ahead. But temperature is only one piece of the puzzle. The way men treat themselves day by day, their habits, addictions, and choices can either fuel strength or slowly destroy it. If there is one habit guaranteed to sabotage a man's vitality, it is smoking. Cigarettes do not only scar the lungs, they also strangle blood vessels, cutting off circulation to the very place that depends on strong blood flow. Over time, erections weaken, and intimacy becomes a struggle. Doctors say it plainly: smoking will kill erections 100% of the time. But tobacco is not the only silent thief. Excess alcohol, recreational drugs, and poor diet slowly dismantle the body's foundation, often long before symptoms appear. Erectile dysfunction is more than a bedroom issue. It is a warning sign of overall vascular health. Studies show that men who experience dysfunction are at higher risk of heart attack and stroke within just a few years. What feels like an isolated problem is really the body's alarm bell for something deeper. The same blood vessels that fuel intimacy also supply the heart and brain. When they weaken, the danger extends far beyond the bedroom. The solution lies in lifestyle. Regular aerobic exercise strengthens circulation. Resistance training boosts testosterone. A balanced diet rich in whole foods supports energy and recovery. And just as vital, reducing stress preserves not only sexual health, but also long-term well-being. Men who quit smoking, cut back on alcohol, and move daily often notice dramatic improvements in performance, confidence, and mood. These changes are not about restriction. They are about freedom. Freedom to live longer, to love fully, and to maintain dignity and vitality as the years pass. Yet even with healthy habits, many men still face an invisible enemy: the way they treat themselves emotionally. Self-criticism and shame can be just as damaging as any physical habit. Physical health is only half the story. The other half lives quietly in the mind, where thoughts and fears shape every experience. Too many men carry silent battles of self-criticism, worrying about size, performance, or the fear of letting a partner down. When intimacy doesn't go as planned, the mind replays it endlessly. The next encounter begins not with excitement, but with fear of failure. Anxiety builds, erections weaken, and a vicious cycle takes hold. Shame magnifies the problem. Instead of reaching out for help, many men retreat inward, hiding their struggles from partners, doctors, even close friends. That isolation deepens stress, feeding the very problem they fear. What began as a momentary setback becomes an identity, a story men tell themselves about not being good enough. But here is the truth. Every man experiences fluctuations. No one performs perfectly every time, and a single failure does not define worth. Breaking the cycle requires compassion for oneself and from loved ones. Talking openly, seeking professional support, and reminding oneself that setbacks are normal creates the space for healing. Emotional well-being is not a luxury. It is a cornerstone of strength. Confidence, kindness, and patience restore not just sexual vitality, but also peace of mind. Men who free themselves from harsh judgment discover that intimacy becomes richer, relationships stronger, and life more fulfilling. The greatest act of courage is often the gentlest, being kind to yourself. And finally, there is one last warning sign to uncover. The age-old saying that proves truer than most realize. Use it or lose it. There's a reason the old saying, use it or lose it, has lasted through generations. It holds truth rooted in biology. Erections are not only for intimacy, they serve as nature's way of keeping tissue healthy. During sleep, most men experience several spontaneous erections each night, which deliver oxygen-rich blood to delicate structures. When this natural cycle slows down, whether from age, stress, or lack of activity, the tissues may begin to stiffen, shorten, or even develop scar tissue. Over time, the organ can literally lose flexibility and function. Avoiding intimacy, whether due to embarrassment, low desire, or unresolved health issues, compounds the problem. The less stimulation and blood flow, the greater the decline. Desire itself can fade if not nurtured, leaving both partners distant not just physically, but emotionally. Yet the opposite is equally true. Men who maintain intimacy, whether through partnership or safe self-practice, often preserve better function, stronger connection, and deeper confidence even into older age. The message is clear. Intimacy matters at every stage of life. It strengthens bonds, supports well-being, and keeps the body's natural systems active. Ignoring this part of life out of fear or shame only accelerates decline. Making the effort, however small, keeps vitality alive. To use it is not about pressure. It is about honoring health, connection, and the gift of life itself. And as we close this journey through the 10 silent warning signs, one truth shines through them all. Health is not about fear, but about awareness, courage, and care. As we've uncovered together, the body often whispers before it screams. The 10 warning signs we explored are not meant to frighten, but to awaken. To remind every man that health is not just about survival, but about living fully, with dignity and joy. Too many lives are changed forever because signals were ignored, or because shame stood in the way of asking for help. But here is the hope. Every single step toward awareness, no matter how small, carries the power to protect your future. Taking care of yourself is not weakness, it is strength. It means choosing to value your body, your relationships, and the years still ahead of you. And if you carry anything from this video, let it be this: you are not alone. Every concern, every question, every moment of fear can be met with guidance, compassion, and real solutions. So if you recognized yourself in even one of these signs, don't wait. Reach out to a doctor, talk openly with someone you trust, and take that first step forward. You owe it to yourself and to those who love you. If this message resonated with you, please share it. It might save someone else's health or even their life. Subscribe so you never miss future guidance. And together, let's build a community where men's health is spoken about openly, honestly, and without shame. Your story matters. Your health matters. And most of all, you matter.